Good morning, Internet family. Happy Friday. I guess someone else wants to say hello too. So I'm going to try to make this quick because I keep trying to ramble talking about my own personal stuff, and what I really just want to talk about is forgiveness. So, the Lord revealed something really powerful to me this morning, and it's something, here we are again, me anyway, with knowing something intellectually and coming to understand it for the first time in a way that I haven't understood it before. He revealed to me that I had some forgiveness I needed to do for someone who I thought I had already forgiven. And I did. I know that I forgave this person, and that the whole process was complete. But what happens oftentimes is that we will, as humans, we tend to go through cycles of different feelings, with things that don't get resolved the way that we want them to, things that continue to hurt. Some things hurt for the rest of our life, and that's all there is to it, especially when it comes to losses. And I know everyone has at least one thing where they can relate to me on this, where something keeps hurting and something keeps coming back up, and we keep having to forgive. So this particular circumstance, this person and me that I was working on forgiveness with again this morning, we have a million things that we've had to forgive each other for, both of us, we had a long history in our history. But there's one particular thing that keeps coming back up for me, and it's because it involves something and someone else that's much bigger than us. And the Lord had to take me out of that. He had to step me out of, shut up, Bernie. He had to step me out of looking at that, because I was trying to justify it. I was trying to excuse it. I was trying to logically rationalize the whys and the hows and and the Lord stopped me and reminded me that if I can do it with my brain, it's not actually forgiveness, probably, because I can't forgive the way that He does, and then I'm just going to wind up right back here, and then justification and excusing is not forgiveness. So what He revealed to me as I slowed down and just focused on Jesus is that we know that God's in control. And in this particular circumstance, I've seen evidence, okay? So sometimes we don't even get to see the evidence. We just have to know and have faith. But I've seen the evidence that God was in control in this situation, that God had a plan, and it was God's hand, and I've seen the fruit of it. And I know that my feelings and my opinions and my thoughts and my part in it, is as painful as it may be and as much as it may hurt to me, that's not got anything to do with God was at work, right? And I'm okay with that. I am okay with that. Even though sometimes it's painful, I am okay with that. So when I look at this other circumstance with this person that I was working on forgiveness with this morning, I get stuck sometimes right there. I go back to that one day, that one time, that one thing that I just can't seem to stay in forgiveness for. And the Lord revealed to me, so are you actually mad at me, Kendra? Because if you're mad at Him, and because you've seen the evidence and you've admitted and you believe that I'm in control and my hand was at work, this is the Lord asking me this, right? Would that not mean that for you to be mad at Him for doing something wrong that played a part in my plan, that you would have resentment against me? And it hit me like a ton of bricks, so I really had to deal with that. I had to think about that, okay, God, show me my heart. Am I really mad at you? Is there resentment or bitterness or blame or unforgiveness towards God in my heart? Brownie, please knock it off. My dog is neurotic. Please excuse us. So we worked through that, and it clicked in my mind. And there's so many other circumstances and so many other people in the near past and the far past, everywhere in my life, and I'm sure in my future, that I struggle with forgiveness for. I can't really figure out why they did what they did, how this makes sense, why, I don't, and I forgive, and then I go back to it, and then I forgive, and then I go, and this helps so much for me. So if I believe that God's in control, if I believe that God's hand is at work in all circumstances in my life, and I can look at everything and see that too, I really can, then how can I sit in the middle of one day out of what I know to be a perfect plan and feel the hurt that someone's actions caused me to feel, and not forgive them for that, when I know that even though that hurts, it's part of something big and beautiful that God is doing. So this is where forgiveness is I'm trying to think of the right word. It ought to be easier for me anyway. It ought to be easier because even though we all have free will, even though we all make our own choices, so even though anytime I've hurt somebody or I've done something that was wicked, whether my intentions were wicked or not, that was my choice. And even though anytime somebody else did the same to me, that was their choice, we know that God wouldn't want that for us. That's not his choice for his children to be hurt by other people. But we know that he knew that was going to happen. Before it happened, he knew it was going to happen. So he's already worked that and the results of that into his perfect plan for us. And he's going to use it. And it's going to be part of something bigger and much, much better than what we feel that day. So when we look at it like that, and it's like, okay, so, like puzzle pieces, some of the puzzle pieces are just really ugly, right? Putting a puzzle together, some of them don't really, most of the pieces don't make sense. And most of them certainly aren't beautiful, right? But when you put them together, they are. So this is where forgiveness, wipe out the logic, wipe out the explaining, wipe out the justifying, wipe out the excusing, wipe out the trying to make sense of and trying to reconcile with. And by reconcile, I mean in our minds, trying to reconcile how this all fits and where, and I could reconciling with that person. We don't have to do that either. That's all depending, but wipe all that out and just remind ourselves that it's okay. We can forgive this person because it's just like Joseph in prison because of Potiphar's crazy wife, and before that because of his own brothers betraying him, trying to kill him, and because of one good brother deciding to sell him into slavery instead of killing him. Come on now, if anybody had a right to be mad. But he saved the nation of Israel. He saved the lineage of Jesus. He changed the future. What is for us history, it was future for him. He changed it by being in those circumstances where his brothers and Potiphar's wife and everyone else was out to get him, literally out to get him. So when we look at our lives like that, how can we be mad? How can we hold resentment? Even the super hurtful stuff, even the things that are like, we would say unforgivable, we can know that as followers and believers in Jesus, that trust Jesus and trust our Father, that he has bigger plans, and that they wouldn't quite fit together. There would be a hole, and maybe things wouldn't go that way because he's already used that. Now please don't hear what I'm not saying. Please don't hear me say that God is making people hurt other people in order to make his plans. No, we have free will. And the Lord just knows how to take that. He knows how to take a crappy circumstance and hurtful things and all these bad things and turn them good, because he's a miracle worker and he's a way maker, and he loves us, and forgiveness is possible. And let me tell you one other thing before I go. Not only is forgiveness possible, but it's necessary. The Bible tells us that if we want to be forgiven, we have to forgive. Forgive our trespassers as forgive us as we forgive our trespassers. Yes, that's in the Lord's Prayer. I had to go back like the alphabet. I had to sing it too. But what I'm saying though is, we have to forgive. So there's this story. I'm not sure where I heard this, and I'm not even entirely sure it's true, but supposedly there's this man who was a Christian man, a godly man, and he experienced death. And as a believer and as a Christian, he would have expected to go to heaven, but he didn't. He didn't, because he had a lot of unforgiveness. He wouldn't forgive people. So he mercifully, God was merciful, and he was brought back to life, and his story is absolutely horrifying of And it was only just unforgiveness. It was only because of unforgiveness. And now this man is scared to leave his house, which we're not supposed to do that. But we have to learn how to forgive. We have to learn to forgive as the Father forgives us. Picture Jesus being crucified, bearing all of our sins, including the sins of those next to him, and forgiving them in that moment, and forgiving the people who were torturing him in that moment, even though he had been a perfect and innocent man his entire life. You know, Jesus was God, but he was also fully human. He felt everything we feel in that moment. He didn't use his powers as God. He chose to be human. And if he was able to do that, then we can forgive people. We can forgive people for the things that they do, especially knowing that God's using it, you know? So, again, I went way longer than I was supposed to do. I wonder if I can ever learn how to talk shorter. Forgiveness, 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 forgiveness. Your whole life will change if you can just learn how to forgive. My whole life will change if I can just learn how to forgive better. Happy Friday. Y'all have a great weekend.